Hello everyone and welcome to the inaugural video of coverage on the channel for Warhammer Underworlds. You will hopefully have seen the unboxing I did on the newest updated 2-player starter set for the game. Prior to that, my only experience with Warhammer Underworlds was to play the video game version. Didn't play that much, played it a little bit, brushed up on it prior to getting the 2-player starter set, but never actually played the physical game. So we're going to give it a go using the one side of the starter set, and we'll talk more about it. They're not actually set up yet, but the board has been set up in advance, but the Warbands have not. And then a slightly older release. This is Farstriders. Farstriders Rivals? Oh, they're just called the Farstriders, but they're using their Rivals deck, going up against Blackpowder's Buccaneers, also using their Rivals deck, which just means it's a curated deck. You just need to shuffle it and then you can use it. It's much easier and easier to get into for newer players. On that note, this is a kind of learning to play, not a how to play. There will probably be mistakes going forward. It is a fairly simple game, but there is some nuance to it. It's played over a series of 3 rounds of 4 activations each side. Games take up maybe 30 minutes, probably less, honestly, once you get into the groove, and the goal is for one side to have more glory points than the other, and that is gained via getting kills or from scoring objective cards from your objective deck. Kind of similar to Batman in that sense that it focuses on objective cards. So we'll take a look at both sides. The tokens, we'll go quickly over the anatomy of a card just to help ease in anyone else who's also not familiar, and then we'll give it a go and see what happens. So this is the Farstriders being led by Sanson Farstrider in the middle. He's the one with the bird on his hand. Joined by Ilias Swiftblade, which I believe is the one on the left, and then Almeric Eagle-Eye, which is the one on the right. So only 3 models. Even though you have 4 activations, you can activate the same model twice in the same round. Under certain circumstances you can't, but there's also ways around that as well. But just quickly take a look at an example card here just to talk through it real quick. Again, as is my understanding, this is a leader card. The gold box tells you how they inspire. If a model inspires, you flip their card and they get stronger in some way. They have their movement, what they roll on defense dice, and what they need to see on the defense dice to block, how much health they have, and then this is their attacks broken into range, damage roll, and how much damage you do if you beat the target's defense roll. Simple as that, really. There's 2 dice types. That's defense dice there, and then there is attack dice here. There's 2 hammers on there, which make them the easiest type of attack to land. There's 1 sword, which makes them the hardest type to land. There's a crit symbol, and crits in this game trump everything except other crits. There is a kind of half circle here, which means if you have 1 person supporting you, and we'll cover that if it happens, that counts as a success. Same on the defense dice. And if you have 2 people or more supporting you, these count as successes. So you can improve your odds of getting something that is classed as successful if you're mobbing an opponent. Something about this covers it. Upgrades and things can happen, but they happen as part of the game process where you spend the glory points you've earned. And this is what a glory point looks like, hopefully in focus. You just flip it if you spend it, and you can use that between rounds to equip upgrades to your characters. It still counts as scored. It's kind of similar to how Call to Arms does it. You gain XP, you can spend it, but it still counts, or victory points, but it still counts towards your final score for who wins. So this is Blackpowder's Buccaneers, an older warband available for the game, and is comprised of Gorlock Blackpowder, who is an ogre, his 2 nobblers, KG, which is the one with the rope there, and Pegs, which is the one pointing with the sword there. They steal upgrades. If they successfully hit someone who's got an upgrade, they break it, and that gives them bonuses. They also have Mange, I think it's pronounced, the monkey with a knife, and Shriek, although spelt weird, the eagle over there. So outnumbering 5 to 3. They still only get the 4 activations as well though, and in general everyone except Blackpowder himself, they all have like 2 health, so they're not super hard to take out. I think I did forget to mention, but you score glory from getting objective cards. You do also get glory from getting kills, and if a model has 5 or more wounds, I believe, they're worth 2 because they're classed as a large model, and Blackpowder has 6 health, so he would be worth 2 if he gets taken down. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, we're partway through setup. The boards are set up, and 5 objective hexes have been flipped over, randomised. 3 go to whoever places the first board, 2 go to the other. So all that's left to do is to set up the warbands and then roll for who's going first. We'll get that all set up and be back at deployment. So we are all set up and good to go. Before you place your fighters, you draw a hand of 3 objective cards from your deck of 12, I think, and 5 power cards from a deck of 20. Again, I'm not 100% sure how many are in there in total, but that's just a guess. So both sides have that. Then you take turns deploying, starting with whoever placed the first board, and whichever side runs out of placements first gets an automatic crit to the roll for who goes first in round 1. So the Farstriders on the right there will have the advantage. The only other thing to do before we actually get started here, well, first of all, this line of hexes in the middle is considered no man's land, which might be relevant for some objective cards. There is 5 objectives. We need to flip them now to see which is where, because some objective cards might require like hold objective 1, that kind of thing. So for instance, that is an objective 3. Oh yeah, the hexes on the board with a white outline cannot be traversed through. That is objective 2. That is objective 4. That is objective 5. And then that leaves objective 1 over right there. So we're going to do this in a recap style, just trying to get everything right. Again, apologies in advance for anything that is done wrong. First time playing it outside of a video game, which kind of covers you making sure you don't make rules errors. We'll hopefully do most of it right though, and give it a fair shake for the channel, see how it does. So Ulmeric Evil Eye activated Eagle, not Evil, for the Farstriders first. They're the first of 4 activations this round, and he opted to do what's called a charge action for his turn. So that is a move followed by an attack. You then get given a charge icon, and if you have one of those, it means you can't be activated again this round unless everybody who's alive on your team has a charge icon, then you can. So he has 2 possible attacks, a range 1 and a range 3. He did a range 3 against Pegs here. He was looking for a sword or a crit result on the roll. That's his roll right there. So the defense roll didn't even need to be rolled because there was no successes. Did it anyway just to show it off. For the record, Pegs would have failed his defense roll with that result because he doesn't have 2 people supporting him. But nothing was done there. Then after you do an activation, you go to the power step, starting with the player whose turn it is. You can play a power card, a ploy they're called, or a gambit. Then the opponent can do the same until both sides pass, and then it moves on to the next activation for the other player. That is understanding anyway, so nothing was achieved there. Moving on. So it was a simple enough activation for the Blackpowder Buccaneers. Pegs activated, KG, and he actually was KG, so his name is ironic. He moved forward 1 step onto objective number 1 and did nothing else. That icon's been given to him. That's a move icon. If a model activates and they have a move icon, they can't do a charge. I think that's the only thing it does, more or less. No cards played by Blackpowder in the power step. However, there is one being played by Farstrider, and it's called Lightning Blow, which will hopefully come into focus in a moment. The cards are a little bit shiny as well, but +1 damage to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation step, i.e. what we're about to go into now. So whoever goes, they're getting +1 potential damage, and that is in order to try and set up a score. Well, an effort was made to try and set up being able to show off scoring an objective card, but you know how dice be. Elias Swiftblade activated, did a charge because she, I presume, with a name like Elias, I'm not sure, walked forward 1 step in order to get Shriek in range for his range 3, or their range 3 attack. Rolled 3 dice, got 1 success. The double swords is a success, so which means it would have been 2 damage coming in thanks to that ploy played, and that would have killed him. But the bird rolled a crit and a shield. The crit trumps everything else unless you get a crit as well, so no damage there at all. So not a great start. That's 2 of them with charge tokens now as well. Lightning Blow just gets put into a discard pile now. That's it done, because it's not a permanent upgrade or anything like that, and then it's back over to Blackpowder. Well, there's another simple nobler activation for them. Pegs activated, walked forwards onto objective 4, was given a move counter and isn't doing anything else, and there's no cards being played by either side, so it's just pass, back over to the Farstriders for their 3rd. Well, you know, it's nice to know that my dice luck follows me no matter what game I try. So Farstrider himself activated, he has a movement of 4. He moved where you can see him, took a range 3 shot, though he's only 2 away, but took a range 3 shot at Pegs. That's his roll there. He needed swords, no crits, no swords, done, and just did the defense roll just to show it off. It would have failed, again, for the record, but managed to do absolutely nothing in that turn. Alright, Blackpowder's Buccaneers have actually sprung into action now. Shriek the bird, activated, did a charge action, and when they finished the move part of that charge action, the monkey has a special reaction called after, well, it's not called anything, it just says after a friendly minion makes a move action, he can be pushed up to 3 hexes as long as he stays within 2 of the person that moved when he finishes his move. It's a push, not a move, so he doesn't get any icons, and has just used that to move up behind the bird. The bird then did its attack, range 1, 3 dice looking for swords, and their rolls are much better. They got 2 swords, and the defense roll for poor old Elias there is nothing. So he has taken 1 damage from that attack. We'll put it on his card just so the table doesn't get messy, but that was what wound counter looked like, just red circles. Now there is a couple of things happening in the power phase after that action. Blackpowder's Buccaneers is playing Flurry of Claws, so the bird is actually going to get to attack again, because it's choose 1 friendly companion, and they have the companion keyword. The chosen fighter makes one of their attack actions on their fighter card. So they're going to be doing that, and in reaction to that, where is it? The Retribution card is being played by Farstrider, right here, or the Farstriders I should say, hopefully that is in focus, there we go. Reaction play, after an enemy fighter's attack action that dealt damage to a friendly fighter, that friendly fighter makes an attack. Now I believe actually this goes first because it's a reaction to the initial attack. So on the off chance this kills the bird, I don't think Flurry of Claws will actually get to proc. May need to go double check that. But either way, these 2 cards are being used, so we'll be back after these have been rolled out. So Flurry of Claws will indeed not be getting used, because on the roll for Retribution using the Storm Saber, range 1, 3 dice, looking for swords, it does 2 base damage. A swords got rolled and a crit got rolled. Now there was a crit in the defense roll, but the number of total successes still is trumping that because both sides got a crit, but he also got a hit. So that means the damage goes through as far as we can tell, which means that 2 damage is done to the poor bird, which is actually enough that it is taken out of action. They've only got 2 health. So that means there is now 1 glory given to Farstriders, the Stormcast, which they can spend in the end phase if they have any upgrade cards, and whether they spend it or not, it's still the first point they've earned on the board. So Flurry of Claws was not used, but everything else happened as is. So with all 3 of the Stormcast having a charge token, you can activate one of them, even though normally you wouldn't, since there's still 1 action left in this round for them. But it says they can't make any move actions or super actions, so presumably that also means they can't do another charge, because that would be a bit too powerful. So the only thing that happened was Samson Farstrider activated with his bird there in the middle, once again took another long range shot at the Nobblar, and once again rolled no successes. So nothing done there at all. Blackpowder himself was the last activation for the first round for the Blackpowder Buccaneers. All he did was move a couple of hexes, so he just did a move action. All the tokens come off at the end of the round anyway, but it's just there to show what he did. No cards being played by either side, so then at this point we enter the end phase of the round. This is where tokens get removed. This is where you can score objective cards, you can spend your glory on upgrades if you have them. So we'll do all that and then recap it in a second. So at the end of round 1, there is no additional cards being scored by Farstriders. However, they are spending the 1 glory they earned in order to attach an upgrade. Farstrider himself is being given overcharged Boltstorm Pistol. So range 3 now becomes 3 dice, which is 1 more than he has by default. It only needs axes, which is, or whatever, which is the more common result on the attack dice. It does bring the damage down, I think. Oh wait, no, so it's default damage 1 anyway. So all it does is make it much more likely to hit, and it also has the cleave special rule, which I think counters shields offhand. We need to double check that, which makes it harder to block as well. So that's just slipped under his card. That's his ranged attack he has access to now. For Blackpowder Buccaneers, they are scoring 2 objective cards. They are scoring a Braggart for 1 glory there. Score this in the end phase if your leader is within 2 hexes of 2 or more enemy fighters. Blackpowder is within 2 hexes of 2 of the Farstriders. They're also scoring Treasure Hungry for 1 glory. Score this in the end phase if 2 or more of your friendly fighters are on feature tokens. The 2 Nobblars are on feature tokens right there. So that's 2 glory to 1. They're not spending it on any upgrades, and with that you just repeat the process, move into round 2 of 3. There is a chance to discard any cards you don't want in your hand at this point. You have to draw back up to 3 and 5 respectively for objectives and power cards, and then we start again. Well, the Blackpowder Buccaneers won first activation for round 2, and Blackpowder himself activated and showed why you should be scared of ogres, I guess. He moved round behind Farstrider onto the objective token behind him, objective number 2, and then used his Great Cutlass. It's range 2 because I guess it's so huge. 2 dice needing axes, or is it a hammer or an axe? I actually have no idea. Either way, that symbol, and it does 3 damage if it goes through, and he rolled 1 success. He got the axe / hammer. Farsighter rolls 1 defense die needing a shield, didn't get anything, so he took 3 damage. He's 1 away from dead, just like that. No cards scored on that, and no card, oh sorry, there is a card being played, my bad. Reckless Raid got put into play for Blackpowder Buccaneers. +1 dice to their range 1 attack actions this round, -1 defense to a minimum of 1 for the round as well. For most of them that doesn't matter because they have 1 defense die anyway, so it's just a straight up damage increase for the round. The only one it will affect that's still alive is the monkey. He's down to 1 defense now as well. Well, the prospect of being dead soon, Sanson Farstrider activated first for the Farstriders. He did a charge action as well, moving adjacent to Pegs and attacking him with his short range attack, which is called a Bolt Storm. No, that's the Bolt Storm pistol. Sorry, the Shock Hand Axe. Range 1, 2 dice, needing hammers / axes. I would call them hammers, and maybe it looks more like a hammer. 2 damage base. He rolled a crit and a hammer. Pegs rolled a shield, needs to roll a dodge, so he didn't block any of it. Did 2 damage and has actually taken him out of the fight for 1 glory. And that also immediately scored Swift Punishment as well for another glory. Score immediately after a friendly leader or assassin has made an attack action that takes an enemy fighter on an objective token out of action, which he did. So that is a 2nd glory from the same action. Also played Merciless Assault, going all in here. It's a reaction. Play this after a friendly fighter successful range 1 attack action. The fighter then makes a range 3+ attack action, which he did to target poor KG there. With that upgraded overcharged Bolt Storm pistol, range 3 needing hammers. The roll is there. He rolled 2 hammers and a crit. KG rolled a shield, needed to do a dodge. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, even if he rolled a crit. So he took 1 damage from that. He's still alive though. They both have 2 health. So he managed to hold on, but Farstrider did get some good stuff done there, and poor Pegs is now just dead. 2nd of 4 activations for the Blackpowder Buccaneers in round 2 was KG. He stayed exactly where he was and just did his ranged attack. He's got that grapple, so he's just chucking it at people. Range 3, normally 2 dice, up to 3 because of Reckless Raid that was in effect until the end of the round. So he was rolling 3 dice, needing the swords, and he got 1 success against Farstrider himself, who managed to whiff his defense roll by rolling a block, meaning he took 1 damage and has been killed. So the leader of this band is now absolutely dead. Now I'm actually not sure if the light-fingered reaction happens on a target you've killed. After this fighter's successful attack action, that targets an adjacent fighter. Oh, adjacent. They weren't adjacent. Never mind. It was ranged. Because they can break equipment, which gains swag tokens, which they kind of need to score stuff, as far as I understand it. So, 1 glory there for killing Farstrider. In the power phase afterwards, nothing being played by Blackpowder's Buccaneers, but Aetheric Paths is being played by the surviving Stormcast. Choose a friendly fighter that's in an edge hex and more than 1 away from any enemy fighter. Place them on another edge hex and give them a charge token. So, good old Ilias Swiftblade is actually just going to appear down there in the corner of the table and has to get given a charge token, but given that there's only 2 of them left alive, they'll still get to do something later in the round. So Ulmeric Eagle Eye had to activate because he didn't have a charge token. Wolf mentioned, totally forgot there's line of sight blocking hexes right there, so that was a stupid place to put Elias. Not going to undo it, it was just a genuine tactical error, so that is bad, but that's okay. So Ulmeric did a charge action, moved up, shot into KG there with his Bolt Storm pistol, range 3, 3 dice, needing swords. He got 1 success. 1 shield is not good enough for KG. He needs a dodge symbol, which is the rarest one besides, I think there's only 1 on there and there's 2 shields. Meaning he takes 1 damage and has also been killed. So 1 glory for his death, but then also 1 more on top of that for scoring the criteria for the Judgment of Sigmar. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter's range 3+ attack action that takes the target out of action, and the pistol is 3 range. So that puts them at 5 in total to Blackpowder's 3. Well, a very angry monkey with a knife activated. He's got movement 4, so he charged down onto objective 4 and then did his range 1, 3 dice up to 4 because of Reckless Raid, needing swords, and that is exactly what he rolled right there. He rolled 4 crits, which is the equivalent of 4 6s. Absolutely no way to defend against that. That is literally the perfect roll. More than perfect, actually, because normally he'd be rolling 3. So yeah, beyond perfect. It gets through. It only does 1 damage, but still. In the power step, now is the time for Flurry of Claws being played, because he also has the companion keyword. Him and the bird both had it. So he's going to be doing another attack. There's nothing coming from the Stormcast, so we're just going to roll out the second attack here. And there's the result of the second roll, once more getting a crit along with a normal hit. The shield would have blocked, but doesn't trump the crit, so 1 more damage has gone through. So that is the first 2 damage Ulmric has taken. He's got 2 left. Oh, and I did forget to mention, because he died, so it didn't matter, but Sanson actually would have inspired because he did 2 attacks in the same phase, which is the criteria for these guys inspiring. He would have flipped his card over. Wouldn't have made a difference, he still would have died, but just mentioning it. Well, because they both had charge tokens, either one of them could activate. Ulmric went again, not allowed to move. He just initiated a close combat attack with his shock hammer, hand axe, sorry. Range 1, 2 dice, needing hammers, and of course he rolled 2 swords. So absolutely nothing got through there, and nothing else is being played either. And that is very unfortunate because, there is a card being played, but nothing that will change that. But they both still have charge tokens, so one of them will get to activate again. They're both not in a great position to do anything else, but Warning Cry is being played in the power phase there. Choose a friendly fighter, give the chosen fighter a guard token. He is being given a guard token, which is this symbol here, I believe. It just means that if you roll dodges or blocks, they both count as successes on the next defense roll you make. Last activation of the second round was the monkey again, because neither of them could move. And finally he did a whiff. A total whiff, no successes at all on an attempted attack action into Ulmric. And I think just in return he's going to go, he'll lose his guard, but it doesn't matter because it's the end of the round anyway, and just try and strike the monkey down again. And with a mighty swing of that hand axe, Ulmric manages to land a hit with a hammer and a crit. Shield does nothing for the monkey. 2 damage, 2 health. The monkey is dead, leaving only Blackpowder himself, although he is a tough nut to crack with 6 health. And he deals a lot of damage. But that is 1 more glory now, so that is 6 glory. But we're going into the scoring now, so that might change. So at the end of round 2 of the 3 total, there's 1 left after this, and it's going to be real quick with only 3 models left on the table in total. There is 1 card being scored by Blackpowder's Buccaneers. It's called Aspiring Tyrant. It has 2 potential score conditions, although actually both of them are true. You score it either if your leader is on a feature token in enemy territory, which he is, or if the enemy leader is out of action. So yeah, both of those are true, so 1 glory has been scored. And with that, into the final round. Once again, Blackpowder's Buccaneers got first action in the final round of the game. So a charge was done with Blackpowder himself. He got adjacent to Ulmric and then used his blunderbuss at point blank range. It has an ammo rule. He starts with 1 swag counter, which is used as ammo, so that's now expended. That's the attack roll though, and he needed swords. It would have done 2 damage if it got through, but he rolled no successes. Well, in an effort to set up potential scores, Ulmric activated and just did a move action for his turn, moving up away from Blackpowder, legally distinct, and just rested on objective number 5 up there. Isn't doing anything else. He's out of range to fire, so there's no point doing a charge. Oh, sorry, there is something Ulmric can do. At the end of his activation there, he is going to spend 1 glory to upgrade, because it seems like he can do that as part of a reactionary step. So he's spending a glory to attach Farsighted, so he gets +1 range. So he's essentially got total of 4 range now on his ranged attack. Well, being the last one standing, Blackpowder obviously had to activate for his side again, but he can't move. He's out of range to attack, so he's instead not doing anything. A player action is being used to draw a new power card. You can also discard an objective card to draw another one, and just pass in general, I think, to do nothing. Alias activated and did a charge action up onto objective 1 there, putting him within range 3 of Blackpowder, so he did his range 3 damage, needing swords, bolt, storm, pistol, and whiffed the roll as per usual. At the end of his turn, he is spending a glory to equip Lone Warrior to himself, which is just 6 rolls of, well, normally that's 1 support, count as successes in his defense rolls only. So at the end of that last turn there, Blackpowder is actually putting makeshift munitions into play because there's an opportunity to use it. In the next activation, your leader's Grunderbus attack action has -1 damage to a minimum of 1, but does not have the ammo ability, i.e. he can fire it without having any ammo. He's just picking something up off the floor. So that's what he did, and that's his attack roll right there. He managed to whiff, so the dice are being unkind to both sides now. So there's a bit of a weird stalemate here, because I think Elias can't activate again, because if he did, he would just be shooting Blackpowder again. But he's got a charge token, Ulmric doesn't. Ulmric has a move token, that just means he can't move again. He can't do a charge either, but he's out of range to... Oh no, he gave himself +1, didn't he? So he is actually in range. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, he can activate, so there is actually something he can do. Because Blackpowder can't actually do anything now, he's out of ammo, he's spent that card. He's charged already, so he's pretty much done. Even though he does have 1 activation left, there's nothing much he can do. So all they can really do is... Ulmric and Elias will both get 1 more shot at him. Even if they did maximum damage, they can't kill him. But I guess we'll just roll it out for fun. Well, the dice remained unkind. Of 3 rolled over here for Ulmric, there was 1 success. It was blocked. And over here, there was no successes at all. So we just go into the end phase now, see if there's any more final cards to be scored. And we'll see who's won. And then that's it. So it's time to see who's won after we go over the final scores. However, there was one thing that should have happened earlier. When Blackpowder made his second blunderbuss attack, it should actually have immediately scored broadside. It isn't an end of phase scoring condition, it's immediately. Score this immediately after your leader's second or subsequent Grunderbus attack action. He did 1 naturally, and then he used that card to do another one. So that did score for 1 more glory, meaning that his final score, and it is just him because his crew is dead, was 5. Now, there's 2 cards being scored by the Farstriders here. Prime Objective is being scored. Score this in the end phase if a friendly fighter is holding the highest valued objective in enemy territory. I presume that just means what number they are, and Ulmric is holding objective number 5 up there. So that scores 1 glory, but then they're also scoring 2 glory for without equal. Score this in the end phase if 2 or more enemy fighters are out of action, 4 of them are, and your Warband holds 1 or more objectives. They hold 2 and Blackpowder holds 0. So that scores for 2. So where does that leave us? Well, to Blackpowder's 5, the Farstriders have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So 9 plays 5 in favour of Farblade, Swiftblade, Farstrider and Eagle Eye. That is their names, although they lost their leader. But that is how Game of Warhammer Underworlds goes. It plays very quickly. I'm not sure how long the video is going to be because of all the blathering, but it plays very quickly. Hopefully everything was more or less done correctly. Obviously the Farstriders team is technically new. I believe they've been they did exist before, but I think they've been rebalanced for this starter box. So they might be a lot easier. I don't know. I didn't play the original version. But let me know what you think of Warhammer Underworlds and how interested you would be in seeing more content on it in the future. It will help guide me in producing the videos that you actually want to see. On that note, thank you very much for at least giving this a chance. Please do show your support, and if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel as a whole, please consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It helps out a lot, it helps fund the videos, it helps keep this possible, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching though, and I'll see you in the future for something else. Until then, ta-ta for now.